This is what happened when Aaliyah don't want to screen Kaylin right here. Look at this. Kaylin lands on her knee with Odyssey Sims trailing and grabbing her. Now Kaylin's on the floor grabbing her knee. Thank you, Aaliyah. Thank you so much, Aaliyah. Look at this. AB didn't screen. So now Odyssey Sims is on top. This is what Draymond Green was trying to tell you, Waffle House. This is exactly.
Caitlin Clark is down on the court again, clutching her knee, while the broadcast tells millions watching that the other player simply lost her balance. But after the replay, many viewers saw it very differently. You're watching Pulse Hoop, where we break down the biggest WNBA moments and controversies. The contact didn't look like a simple stumble or accidental collision, as the defender appeared to make direct contact with Clark's lower body, sending her to the floor, while the referees nearby chose not to call a foul.
They came after Caitlin tonight. She gets flat mugged right here. Flat mugged. What are we doing? I mean, yikes! She couldn't get a foul call if her life depended on it. Not tonight, anyway. Not tonight. And then Odyssey Sims, I mean, for real, tackles Caitlin Clark. There's no confusion. She tackled her like it's the National Football League. And look, I like Odyssey Sims. She came through last year for the Fever. But that is...
This was the Indiana Fever taking on the Dallas Wings. And by the end of the night, Caitlin Clark had been shoved, grabbed, held, and knocked to the floor more times than any box score could capture. But two moments quickly became the biggest talking points, with the first coming when Clark was left on the court clutching her knee in visible pain after a defender made low contact with her legs during a play that appeared to have little connection to the basketball.
And Beckers. And some intensity growing here.
The second moment came late in the second quarter, when Paige Buchers wrapped up Clark's arm and appeared slow to let go as the clock continued running. The two plays were completely different, but the result felt frustratingly similar. In both situations, the officials appeared slow to react, and by the time a whistle finally came, Clark had already absorbed the contact and the moment had passed.
Boston is trash. She does not set screens. You got people tackling Caitlin Clark. Aaliyah Boston, big, soft, sorry ass, don't do nothing. She's a big, soft, sorry piece of if you ask me out there. Aaliyah Boston is ass. $6 million of ass juice out there. She ain't did nothing. Got dominated by Jessica Shepard. Aaliyah Boston, get your sorry ass in the trash too. Go on, get your sorry ass in the trash. You suck. You the most overrated, overpaid big. For $6 million, you need to be playing like a...
Let's start with the knee, because this was arguably the moment that deserved far more attention. Clark was moving without the ball, trying to create space and get into a passing lane, when a Wings defender closed in and made low contact around her knee. Clark immediately went down, grabbing the joint with both hands and clearly reacting to the pain. Meanwhile, the defender stumbled away with her arms raised, appearing surprised by the collision. But when the replay was shown from different angles, the sequence raised even more questions about exactly how that contact happened.
Electing to not screen. Look at this. Like, look at it. What type? You're screening Kaylin! Oh my gosh! She's screening Kaylin instead of Odyssey. Oh my gosh! How do you screen Caitlin? Oh my gosh! She's screening her own teammate instead of screening Odyssey Sims. How do you screen Caitlin? It got to the point where she's hurting Caitlin. She's the reason Caitlin probably fell. Let me watch this. Look at this. AB didn't screen. Odyssey Sims just literally fell into Caitlin Clark. How do you screen Caitlin? Oh my.
Here's the problem with describing that moment as simply losing balance. Watching the defender's movement before the contact, she doesn't appear to react late to Clark. Instead, she closes the distance, sets her body, lowers her position, and makes contact with Clark's standing leg. That makes the play look very different from an accidental stumble or someone who simply couldn't stop in time. The defender's positioning placed her directly underneath Clark and sent her to the floor, when the broadcast immediately framed it as a loss of balance. Many viewers felt the contact was dismissed too quickly, especially since there were other ways to disrupt Clark's movement or contest the passing lane without making contact near her knee.
much when you're guarding Caitlin Clark. First, Paige grabs her arm, the whistle comes late, Clark gets pissed, and Paige basically tells her, calm down. Then later, Odyssey Sims takes Clark down and she lands knee first on the floor. Nah man, Dallas was physical all night. Indiana loses 91-85 and Clark walks out frustrated. Call it tough defense if you want, but if this is normal, what the hell actually
And here's what made the situation even more frustrating. There was no whistle at all. Clark remained on the floor holding her knee as a trainer eventually came over to check on her, while the officials just a few feet away took no action. There was no delayed call, no review, and not even a common foul. The game simply continued as if nothing had happened. For one of the league's biggest stars, playing in front of a huge crowd, that lack of a response quickly became a major talking point. And the clearest sign that the contact had affected her came afterward, when Clark appeared to limp through the next several possessions.
She's moving all over the place. Hits her with the shoulder, like always. Look at this. Fouls her, holding her, and fouls the crap out of her. No foul. Look at this. She got fouled the whole game. They didn't call this a foul. Look at this one. Like, her body's all over her. How is that not a foul? Look at this one. Cardosa swipes her once, twice, just tries to grab her. Can you imagine being fouled the entire game? Every time you hit half court, every time you dribble, every time you drive. Look at this. Sheldon clearly has her hand on Caitlin Clark's shoulder when she's shooting it. They even showed a replay. It's exact.
Now compare that with how quickly the whistle comes when Clark is the one making contact. Earlier in the same series, she barely bumped a defender while trying to get around a screen and was called for an offensive foul almost immediately, with no hesitation or lengthy discussion. That contrast is exactly what many fans continue to question. When Clark makes even minor contact, a foul can be called instantly. Yet when she absorbs heavier contact, the whistle sometimes appears delayed or never comes at all. To viewers watching closely, it can create the impression that the same officials are applying different standards depending on which player initiates the contact.
Got called a technical foul because she accidentally ran into a ref. And as you will see from the clip, it was not intentional in the least. Her reaction to getting the whistle is just like all of us. It was so utterly unfair. Watch this.
So clearly was a foul, was not called.
Oh, she didn't even say anything.
Oh my God. I mean, just insane. And they were going to actually kick her out. And then they finally reversed that ruling. But like, this is crazy how the refs are acting.
It's an absolute.
This wasn't the first time fans felt they had seen this kind of inconsistency. A few weeks earlier, Clark received a technical foul after making contact with an official during a follow-through where there appeared to be little room to avoid the collision. Meanwhile, viewers pointed to other moments around the league where similar or even heavier contact with officials appeared to result in no punishment. That only fueled an argument that has followed Clark throughout the season. Some fans believe the standard for fouls involving Clark, both those she commits and those she receives, doesn't always appear consistent. And as these moments continue to pile up, the calls, or lack of calls, remain a major source of debate.
Paige having the audacity to push Caitlin Clark, then putting her hand out and telling Caitlin Clark to calm down.
Some intensity brewing here as Clark taking exception to the bump. You see Becker's grabbing the arm of Clark and Clark's flailing the arm.
This is just another example of how girls are getting smoked by Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. The numbers do not lie all across the board. Caitlin is not having her best night tonight, but we still have another half to go. And I will be the first to admit that I think Paige is a baller, the way that she can see the whole court, the way that she can pull up from anywhere on the court. But this was so shicey. There's always been rumors that Paige was kind of jealous of Caitlin Clark, and she admitted it herself that she was jealous for what's happening with Caitlin Clark. She said that in an interview recently, but I feel like you did not need to put your arm out like that. That is so salty. Both players are built for big moments, but that did not need to happen on the court tonight.
Now to the second moment. which quickly became another major talking point. With less than 10 seconds left in the second quarter, Clark had the ball while the Wings still had a foul to give. Paige Bueckers stepped in to stop the play, but the contact appeared to go beyond a simple take foul. She wrapped up Clark's left arm and held on as Clark tried to pull free, yet the whistle didn't come immediately, allowing several seconds to pass before play was finally stopped. By then, Clark's frustration was clear, and she fired the ball down the court as the sequence finally came to an end.
Grabbing her, no foul called. Grabs her again. Caitlin Clark said, yeah, dude, I mean, she's touched me enough times right now. I mean, she's gotten her hands on me a little bit too much right now. Here we go. We have Paige grabbing Caitlin Clark, literally grabbing her arm, and we're not calling a foul. I don't understand what that is. This is one of the times where Caitlin Clark got mauled. Look at this. Grabbing her arm. Like Caitlin Clark's trying to run away, and Paige Bueckers is reaching out saying, no, come here. I want to go this way. Like they're both going shopping at the store. And Caitlin Clark's like, no, I'm not going in that store. And Paige's like, no, come in the store. Yeah. It was wild. Absolutely wild. Goes and grabs Caitlin Clark again. And then foul. I mean, that second time looked like she was just trying to foul at that point. That looked like
Watch the replay closely and focus on the hold itself, not just how the play ended. A foul to give is usually quick. Make contact, stop the play, and wait for the whistle. But this sequence lasted much longer. Bueckers continued holding Clark's arm beyond the point when many viewers expected officials to step in, while Clark repeatedly tried to pull free. It wasn't a shot contest or an attempt to break up a pass. The hold prevented Clark from moving as the clock continued to run. Cameras also appeared to capture Bueckers saying something to Clark during the sequence, which some viewers interpreted as telling her to calm down. That contrast added to the moment, with Bueckers remaining composed while Clark was visibly frustrated and still trying to free her arm.
I think is interesting because I believe them to be friends. They've said it before, or at least friendly, but they're good. You know, they compete against each other. They're competitors. You know, when you're on the court, it's different. Paige is clearly trying to take a foul here so that Clark doesn't get like some shot off, but she grabs her arm. She's clearly trying to take it. It doesn't get called. And at this point, she's just mad. I don't think Caitlin has anything. She's not mad at Paige. She's mad at the ref for not calling the obvious, she grabbed my arm. Paige says, calm down. But listen, you yanked my arm, they didn't call it. Call the foul. And then she's still like, at that point, she's like, listen, she's mugging me at this point. You got to call the foul. This is going to end up being something.
Think about how strange that sequence looks when slowed down. Bueckers was the one holding Clark and extending the contact. Yet the apparent message was directed at Clark as if she were the one who needed to calm down. That's the pattern many fans say has followed Clark throughout the season. She gets hit, grabbed, or fouled, shows even mild frustration, and suddenly the focus shifts from the contact to her reaction. Fans have pointed to the earlier incident involving the official, the knee collision in this same game, and now the late first-half arm hold as examples of what they see as the same frustrating cycle.
Hey, refs are some of the worst. They're the worst refs of refdom of any of the refs that exist. They are so continuously, perpetually, just terrible across the board. All of them. I don't give a.
Let's expose last night's game. Like, this was called a foul. After reviewing it, one of the worst officiated games I've ever seen. Look at this one. Instead of looking at her getting hit in the face, Caitlin Clark gets hit in the face. They look at a leg slightly moving a screen. Like, this is what Caitlin Clark deals with. Those are reach and fouls, arms across her whole body. She's getting hit twice, once in the throat, no foul called. So she could get hit, she could get assaulted, but they only call fouls if it's on her.
The officials clearly seem to struggle with this sequence because the delay was far too long. A foul to give is normally called quickly, especially when everyone knows the clock situation. But instead, the play continued long enough for Clark to react, the ball to be thrown, and both teams to begin heading toward the locker rooms before the whistle finally confirmed what had already happened. That delay only added to the frustration. Then, in the third quarter, Bueckers received a technical after arguing with an official following another foul involving Clark. By that point, the crew appeared to be struggling to control the game's physicality and tempo, with Clark absorbing much of the contact before officials stepped in. When both benches, coaching staffs, and the crowd are visibly frustrated with the same officiating crew, it becomes difficult to ignore the feeling that control of the game had slipped away.
Intentionally seeked out the official.
Did that send you backwards to them? Did you know they were there in that moment?
And through the forearm. That too.
Did you know they were there?
No. It's really,
Did they give you
really bad.
a different explanation of any kind?
No, that's Gave what I us was the told. same That's what I was explanation. told. Yeah.
What was your tech for the argument?
My tech was for saying that, even though I heard the F-bomb the whole game. My tech was for saying that. Like that's a bad call. That's a bad call. Incidental contact when you're flying out of control, like on it. And I thought her teammates should have come up and talked to her about that as well. Like I think that's really bad. That happens all the time in the game. Officials have to have some awareness in those moments, and it didn't happen.
Presume you plan to appeal that one?
Yes.
It's already appealed. I just hope the league makes the right decision. Hopefully I can play on Tuesday. That is.
Stephanie White has been in this position before, defending her star point guard after games filled with questionable contact and frustrating calls. The issue isn't that hard fouls happen in the WNBA. They happen constantly in a physical league, and nobody expects Clark to get a whistle every time another player bumps her. The real concern is consistency. A low knee-level collision can go uncalled, while a questionable offensive foul on a routine screen is called almost instantly. Fans aren't asking officials to give Clark special treatment. They're asking for the same standard in both directions, and many believe that standard isn't always being applied. White has made similar comments after other games, usually choosing her words carefully and focusing on consistency rather than directly accusing officials. But as these situations continue, she has even more reason to raise the issue.
Clark's agent, Aaron Kane, said Caitlin will never be paid what she's worth by the WNBA because it is quite literally impossible for them to pay her what she's worth. An economist at Indiana University Columbus calculated that Caitlin Clark was responsible for $36 million in economic impact to the city of Indianapolis, and that she is responsible for 27% of the entire WNBA's economic activity for this past season, including attendance, merchandise sales, and television. One player in a big league responsible for 27% of the economic impact and economic activity for the WNBA. You can argue this intelligently. No one person means as much to their league, whatever league it is, as Caitlin Clark means to the WNBA. And no person has done more for their league than what.
There's also a much bigger financial and competitive issue the league cannot afford to overlook. Clark has become one of the WNBA's biggest draws, with strong television attention and packed arenas whenever she takes the court. So when she ends up on the floor clutching her knee without a whistle, or gets held before officials react, the concern goes beyond one missed call. It raises questions about protecting one of the league's biggest stars. If the WNBA wants to protect the player generating so much attention, officiating in these matchups needs to be more consistent. It shouldn't take a viral replay and thousands of angry reactions before a dangerous-looking play receives serious attention.
I don't know who didn't get a foul call. Stephanie White lost her shit today. She literally was jumping up and down, and I was like, man, that's the first time I've seen Stephanie White show her ass like that all year. But she lost her ever-loving mind.
Now zoom out and look at the bigger picture of this game. There was the missed call on the low knee contact that looked more concerning once the replay was shown, followed by the arm hold that lasted several seconds before officials finally responded. Then came a technical foul involving the same opposing player, showing how much tension had built throughout the matchup. Regardless of intent, Clark's games have become increasingly physical, with packed arenas and intense attention following her everywhere. And the frustrating part is that the focus often shifts away from the contact itself and toward Clark's reaction after the whistle finally comes, or doesn't come at all.